I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Livingston Parish Council, November 10th. It is 6:10. Mr. Shane Mack is going to give us the invocation tonight, so if everyone could please stand.
I ask that you stand and bow your heads, please. Dear kind, most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Father, just thanking you for all the blessings in life you give us, Father. May you just be with us, Father, and give these councilmen the strength and knowledge and help us to just do what's right for the common good of all, Father. Tomorrow, Father, we just as we celebrate Veterans Day tomorrow, help us to remember all the veterans, the heroes of this country, Father, that fought for our freedom, so that we have the right to come up here and debate and pass laws that benefit our people in Livingston Parish, Father. Help us just to remember the veterans and be proud of them, Father. And just Father, I pray that your will be done in our lives, Father, that others may see Jesus in us, so that we can lead others to Christ, Father, so that one day we can all live in eternity forever with you, Father. If it be your will, just pray for the sick, Father. You heal the sick, and you be with the needy, and just help the needy, Father. And just Father, we just in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, I'm going to ask the best friend Livingston Parish has ever had to lead us in the pledge, Mr. Bubba Harris.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ms. Sandy, you do roll call, please.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. Dillette.
Here.
Mr. McMorris.
Here.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
Mr. King.
All right, I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, to please turn it off or mute it. Public input, anyone wishing to address an item. We didn't have any cards turned in, so just raise your hand and come to the podium and give us your name and address. Presentations, 2021 audit. Mr. John Murray.
Good evening. My name is John Murray. I'm a CPA with LaPorte CPAs. We performed an audit for the year ended December 31st, 2021. I'll go through some highlights. If y'all have any questions, just let me know. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is our opinion, which can be found on page 1. The first thing about these financial statements, they include just the parish council. It does not include all y'all's component units like the recreation districts and fire districts. But our opinion, in the bottom paragraph there, we say, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So it was a clean, unmodified opinion on the parish council's financial statements for the year. Next, I'll go over the government-wide financial statements.
Question on the first opinion. On the first opinion, did you say that was the fire departments? No.
I said this report that you have does not include any of y'all's component units, so it doesn't include like the fire districts, recreation districts, or anything like that. So,
thank you, sir.
And so that is just wanted to kind of make that clear. But if you'll turn to page 15, is our statement of net position. And the government-wide financial statements are broken down into pretty much your governmental activities, which is everything except the utility fund, all your governmental funds, and then the business-type activities. And at December 31st, the governmental activities had total assets of $191 million. Of that, the biggest part of that was your cash of about $21.8 million, receivables due from other governments about $43.8 million, and then your capital assets net of depreciation of $93.6 million. The business type activities had total assets of about $4.8 million, and that was all pretty much in your fixed assets for your utility system. There's some deferred outflows related to your past refundings of debt and also your pension obligation. And then if you'll turn to page 16 is the liabilities and net position section. The governmental activities had total liabilities of $74.1 million. And the biggest part of that is your non-current liabilities, which are mainly all your bonds, all that you owe, which total about $41.8 million. You also had some accounts payable and accrued expenses of about $31.7 million. And then there's some deferred inflows related to the pension, and also y'all had received some recovery monies that y'all hadn't spent as of December 31st, and that's also recorded as a deferred inflow there. The business type activities had total liabilities of about $2 million, and that's all pretty much in bonds. So your net position at the end of the year was $106,200,000 for the governmental activities. Of that, about $13.3 million was restricted, and then $31.1 million was unrestricted. Your business type activities, you had total net position of about $2.8 million, and most of that's tied up in your capital assets. If you turn to the next page, 17 is the statement of activities, or the income statement for the government-wide financial statements. And you can see you had total expenses of $74.6 million, and that's broken down into your various functional categories there. You had some charges for services of $4.1 million. You had operating grants of $38.4 million, and then capital grants of about $6 million. So you had a net expense of about $26 million for the year. And then you add your general revenues, which primarily make up your ad valorem taxes and sales taxes, and that would total $38.2 million. So you had a positive change in net position for your government-wide activities of $12.1 million. Now, your business type activities, you had a negative change in net position of about $300,000 there. The next thing I'd like to go over is our reports related to compliance and internal control. And if you turn to page 102, that's where those begin. The first one relates to our report on internal control in accordance with governmental auditing standards and compliance. And actually, if you turn to page 103, is kind of where where our opinion, our report is at, basically there. And related to internal control, we obtain an understanding of y'all's internal control. We do certain tests of y'all's controls, and we also perform walkthroughs of y'all's controls. And based on our audit, given these limitations during audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weakness. So there was no control issues that we identified. We also test y'all's compliance with agreements and state laws, and that is in the next paragraph there. And we said the results of our tests disclose no instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under governmental auditing standards. So we didn't see any violations of state law or anything like that as well as part of the audit. On page 104 is the Uniform Guidance Report. So since y'all's federal funds exceed $750,000, y'all have to have an audit of y'all's compliance with those federal requirements. And if you look in the second paragraph there, we say, in our opinion, Livingston Parish Council complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct or material effect on each of its major federal programs. So we gave a clean opinion on y'all's compliance with the federal requirements that we tested under the uniform guidance. That concluded my report. Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
A lot.
Yeah. I'll start with the good news first.
Okay.
The audit's opinion about the praise controls, that's, you said in the controls, you're talking about each individual department, the way that's what you're talking about. You have added that, you're seeing that people are, names is on the right payroll, you have seen the time sheets, you're following the paper trail is what I'm asking.
Based on the, I mean, you know, now I will say this, an audit is based on a sampling basis, so we don't look at every transaction.
Correct.
Or anything like that, but based on our test, we did not identify any
Well,
issues.
the reason I'm asking and saying that, in past audits, when you have so many employees and so many different departments, that's been a pain for not only the parish president, but also for the treasurer. And I don't know if I ever seen where there wasn't one control, that you had one office, and you said none though, right? You had no, just, okay, I don't know if I ever seen that.
We've had some in past years, but you know, everything that we have identified in previous years has been resolved.
And then the first one, I think, was page 15.
Yes, sir.
16. Debt money that's not spent yet, how much was it?
Let's see, so y'all had, y'all had restricted net position of about 13.3 million, and of that, about 3.8 million was restricted for debt service. Is that what you're referring to, or?
Well, you said money that wasn't spent, debt.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so that's a recovery grant money. If you look in the middle of the page there, it's 12.7 million. That money came in and y'all hadn't spent it yet, so we recorded it as a deferred inflow.
Okay.
Y'all did spend some of that money last year, but the biggest part of it was not spent.
Was not spent, and that's budget for the whole year, that money, right, Jennifer?
Yes, sir, that was the money that was received in June 1, so by the time we went through
Correct.
federal steps to get contracts in place, we haven't spent any of it, but we spent a decent chunk.
You said, thank you, Jennifer. You said there was a positive change on the statement of activities. I think that's page 17. And what was that? How much was that?
That was a positive change of 12.1 million.
And that's based off of last year's budget?
Well, this is the government-wide financial statement, so this is y'all's full accrual financial statement. So it includes like depreciation and also, y'all have, we have a separate financial statement that goes over the fund basis financial statements.
Sir, I'm not quite understanding. Could you come back to that again, explain it to me?
So the financial statement I went over was the government-wide activities, which is kind of a synopsis of the whole Livingston Parish
Okay,
Council.
the whole, right.
But it's not based on y'all's fund basis. If you wanted to see the fund basis financial statements,
Right.
you could see those on page 23.
So is the net increase of 12.1 million basically the fact that we've got deferred inflows of unused grants of 12.7 million?
No, the grants the deferred inflows was recorded as a liability, so that really didn't affect. I think it was mainly, as a lot goes into that number, revenues, and then also, depreciation. And then plus the pension, has had like pension plan has done really well. So as a result, there's, that factors in as well.
So this year, since everybody's stock, 401k took a beating, that number's gonna be.
Yeah, so that's the way, it's kind of cyclical like that. So now, next year, when the pension comes out, because actually, if you look on page, let's see, 15, at December 31st, y'all had a net pension asset. So basically, very rare for the ProCo retirement system was overfunded by that 1.5 million. And so likely that will switch around next year as, as the investments have been kind of hit this year.
But historically, parochial retirement is one of the only ones who is overfunded or sufficiently funded. So we've had
A couple of years, yeah. And a lot of the other retirement plans are not near as funded. They're kind of like in the 70 to 80% range funded, whereas parochial is pretty much, is usually like in the 99 to 100% funded.
More questions?
You got anything, Gary?
What did the jail fund, where's that deal? I know we're supposed to be in better shape this year than we were in the past.
So if you look on page 23, the jail fund had a net positive change in fund balance, because that bond was paid off now, so you had a positive change in fund balance of 3.5 million. So your ending deficit was 6.9 million, whereas at the beginning of the year, it was 10.4 million.
So what is the revenue on that quarter cent that we're getting? Where's that show?
Yeah, so that's going to be shown on, kind of at the top of page 23. Last year was about 6.6 million.
Okay. So the sales tax on last year was 6.6, and we had operational expenses of 3 million out of that fund, which was, Jennifer, was the whole debt paid last year?
yes, sir, in March of last year.
So some of that 3 million was debt service and the rest of it is operating at a deficit?
No, sir, none of that 3 million was the debt service. The debt service.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is the first year of having the debt paid off, so.
Sorry, it was March 2020 was
So the 3 million expenditures is just is the operation of the jail?
normal operation.
Normal operation. So we're looking at if things stay the same, then we're looking at 2 more years and the jail fund will be, the jail deficit will be gone?
I project, if you look at your current budget and
2.5.
page that has Fund 130, you'll see it all holds the same as current, and sales tax continues on the historical at the end of next year.
No, I mean,
Cross your fingers.
right, I mean, it's just,
Right.
it's, I
We'll
mean,
get there to, and then the next, way sooner than we estimated. So,
Okay.
which
Sir.
is great.
so I noticed you had there was a one of your things earlier where you talked about the administration putting the committee together or whatever to look at jail operations. So are we looking at where some of these excess expenditures are occurring? The 3 million in operation, we looking at where those are occurring, and
Yes.
and we're going, is there any possibility after we get the jail fund deficit retired at the end of next year, or there's some possible capital expenditures that could offset some of those revenues that are outgoing, or expenses that are outgoing in outsourcing of prisoners, or have we addressed that? Is that what that?
Once Fund 130, which is the jail fund, nets liability on the books to the general fund and the health unit consolidated cash. So it's a little bit more than just the fund balance from the jail
So
fund.
where's that consolidated cash number at?
It's actually not reflected on your income statement. It's gonna be, I feel like it's a loan from the general fund. Back when they first started experiencing. But yes, as soon as we actually have in that fund, we can explore ideas. Now we actually have some money to solve a problem. I had that. Plus that fund balance that we were having to earmark from the general fund, because you can't have a negative fund balance on your budget, so we've had to not be able to spend the general fund balance to take over.
So basically, that general fund balance has been positive in the past. We couldn't utilize because it was offsetting the negative in the.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you look on page 19, you can see on the general fund, your total fund balance is 21 million, but there's an advances amount of 3.4 million. That's basically money that's been loaned to the jail fund. And so we show that as non-spendable because, since it's
Now, when you show that, like when you talked about cash and cash equivalents, and we had that big number, some of that was uncollected sales tax that we know is coming in, but it's not on the books, or some of it ad valorem tax that's booked but not collected?
Some of that is lamp balance investments. So the government is allowed, sorry, am I allowed? No, I'm allowed. Am I not? Oh, sorry.
On the TV, they can't hear you.
Oh, okay. So some of our cash balances are investments. The government's only allowed to invest in certain things, and so a bunch of our surplus funds are invested in LAMP, Louisiana Asset Management. So it's not technically just cash in the bank, but some is cash and investments.
Okay.
One more question, sir. Page 109, under federal awards, 3, number 3. Is that no, or that should have been none?
like to use the. So you're talking about under 3?
Yes, sir, federal awards, 3.
Yeah. So the federal government has you can use a de minimis 10% flat rate for your indirect costs, or you can provide indirect costs. So we're just saying there that y'all did not do the de minimis rate.
So what does that mean to me? I don't understand.
It's really just, it's a required disclosure for the federal government. Basically, they just want to know whether you used the 10% or you didn't use it. So
And we did not use it.
y'all did not use it, and really a lot of y'all's grants are not grants that have indirect costs. A lot of them are just cost reimbursement grants, and so that's basically what that's saying there. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You just introduced, right? You don't have to adopt, huh?
We don't have. Okay. Ms. Jennifer, hold up. Ms. Jennifer had something
I
else.
just wanted to make one more comment, maybe to give Mr. Delatte a little peace of mind. So we recently were randomly selected for an audit with GOSEP also for subrecipient monitoring. And between myself, the finance department, and the grant department, Our audit was so clean that they have asked me to come speak at their winter conference because they could not even make a best practice recommendation. We had literally nothing they could ding us on.
I want to make a statement. I've been involved in this government here, right here, for 18 years, and I've never seen one this clean. And this, you know, the administration and myself sometimes don't get along and go back and forth, but we're able to talk about it. And the same with the treasurer. But I want to make sure that it's on record that this is about the best I ever seen an audit. I'm telling you, this is outstanding. And Mr. Ricks and Ms. Jennifer deserves a great job.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I mean, the audit, just want to thank Jennifer and her team for all their help throughout the audit. It's a lot of work that goes into it. And I do, you know, thank them for
That's
their help.
perfect. I never seen a perfect audit.
Yeah, they usually find something,
Yeah.
even if it's minor.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Are we using the computer tonight?
No.
Nope, no action needed on that. All right, councilman comments.
I got one.
Mr. Watson.
Yeah, if I can have your attention, please. This past Saturday, was able to watch the LSU football game, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The only thing I thought was a little bit better is when a really good team came to Denham Springs High School to compete in for the district, for the parish championship, and that team was really good. I'd like to give Walker congratulations for being putting up a good game, but Denham tore them up. So I just want you to know
Safety issues
that,
with the field.
that the new stadium at Denham Springs High School is outstanding. If you haven't been there, buy your $10 ticket. Go see Denham Springs play football tomorrow night. I think Covington is coming in, and hopefully we'll just rebound off of the Walker victory and then take it on into Covington. So I would like to say I think Walker was a very good team.
I think that makes it a three-way tie, though.
And on another night, it might have been a little different, but that night, Denham Springs was definitely the best. So. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was talking, but that's okay.
I was clarifying something.
All right.
Well, I got to come. A lot of us had such a good football season this year, our head coach resigned.
So go
your comment?
Jackets. Go Jackets.
Mr. Mack, you have anything?
Just let us not forget about Veterans Day tomorrow, how important it is.
Thank you.
Honor those heroes.
Thank you.
So we have a couple of them in our audience tonight. I'd like to salute. That's
Mr. Chuck.
Mr. Chuck Ronnie.
Thank you
If
for
you
your
could stand up
service.
for everybody. Any other veterans in the audience tonight?
Yep. Tracy, you're a veteran, ain't you?
We am. Hey, guys, we want to thank all you guys. So that goes a long ways with my family, you know, father-in-laws, sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws. They all just about retired. We have conversations all the time, myself and Mr. Chuck, about my father-in-law. Spent 24 years in the Navy, then his son and daughter followed his footsteps. So it's a great honor to be around people like that for my freedom, to give me the right to serve you people. All right, thanks.
Glad anything?
I'm fine. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Garlinghouse, anything?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, the only comment I like to say is, Mr. Bubba, it's been a privilege and an honor.
Thank you very much.
Has.
It's also been a privilege to work with a great group of men that's sitting around these tables right here. I don't think anybody can go any other place and find a greater set of men.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
All right, so with that, we're going to move into this. Did you have something you want to add?
Well, what we're fixing to do depends. We're
Fix and read his letter.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So with that, number 9, we're going to accept the resignation of Councilman R.C. Bubba Harris for District 5. His resignation letter, gentlemen, it has been an honor to serve my community as a councilman of District 5, but I feel the time has come to offer my resignation due to my many health conditions. I wish for the effective date of my resignation to be during the November 10th, 2022 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish. After the reading of this letter, I appreciate all of the opportunities and support that I have received from everyone. I have truly enjoyed my time on this council and the many things that we have accomplished as a team. Sincerely, R.C. Bubba Harris. Thank you. All right, well, Mr. Bubba, you're relieved of your duty, but you are more than welcome to stay right here if you want to.
Well, I'm gonna stay here tonight anyway.
All right.
You need to make the motion?
To accept the
Yep.
resignation?
No. We need to make a motion to accept the resignation? I'll make the motion to accept the resignation.
All right.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Watson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Yes, Mr. Girlinghouse has another motion he needs to make.
I'd like to make a motion to call for an election on Saturday, March 25th, 2023, and Saturday, April 29th, 2023, if runoff. Qualifying for these elections shall be on the January 25th, 2023 through January 27th, 2023.
Is that motion appropriate at this time?
It is.
I second the motion.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Girlinghouse and a second by Mr. Wascom to call for election to fill Mr. Bubba's seat. Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes?
Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Lord?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
All right. Let me get my, you made me lose my place, Bubba. All right. So item 10 is adopt a resolution to temporarily appoint for the vacancy of Council District 5 in accordance to Section 2-04, vacancy of council office of the Home Rule Charter.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to,
Mr. Latt?
it's my understanding we don't have a vacancy until the Secretary of State's office says we have a vacancy. And I'm going to read what it says. A vacancy in elected office may occur due to a variety of reasons, such as the resignation or retirement of an elected official, death, removal from office, failure to take office for any reason, being elected and sworn into another office, moving out of the jurisdiction, or a specific district being called or being recalled by judgment. All letters of resignation and retirement must be original and must be notarized. The registration shall become valid upon receipt of the original notarized letter in the Secretary of State's office. When an original notarized letter or resignation is received, the Commission Division of the Secretary of State's office will transmit this notice to the local governing authority, who is required by law to make an appointment to fill the vacancy and call a special election to fill the vacancy. If more than 1 year remains on the term of the office for certain elected officials, or if more than 18 months. But my point is, I haven't seen a resignation letter from the Secretary of State's office.
Yes, ma'am.
I spoke several times today with Mr. Trey Brazon with the Secretary of State. He's head of commissions. And he walked me through everything that needed to be done tonight. He said that they would be playing catch-up, but they would be sending us a letter ASAP.
I would think we couldn't act until we had the letter.
Mr. Booty.
Well, that's technically correct, but it's very often done to appoint somebody to take the replacement in a situation like this, where it's just a pro forma receipt of the letter from the Secretary of State. So I suppose you could declare your newly appointed person's office to start as soon as the letter is officially received, or you could make the appointment dependent upon the receipt of that letter. I think that'd be safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
You need a motion?
yeah.
I mean, I can't make it.
All right, well, I'd make a motion that we, at Mr. Bubba Harris's recommendation, to appoint Ms. Erin Sandifer temporarily to the position of District 5 until the next election that
The
Tracy...
receipt of the letter.
Exactly. And then, of course, it will become official upon receipt of that letter, just for the expediting of time, and so the people in District 5 don't have to be without representation between now and January. I put that in the form of a motion that we accept Ms. Erin Sandifer's a temporary appointment contingent upon the letter becoming official when the letter gets received.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any comments from the council?
Yes. So I had several emails come across stating others would like to have a chance to fill the seat also in District 5. Do I know the people? No, I do not. But I think it would be fair to all of us if we could sit down at least one meeting next week and discuss this with other people in District 5. I mean, because, and I'm going to tell you why I say this, because I wasn't wanted on this board in the beginning, right? Just think about this. There's other people out there too. Miss Erin, she does a wonderful job for us. I keep up with her on her updates on her pages. Does a wonderful job, but there's other people out there also seeking this position also that I think they should get the opportunity. That's just my opinion.
Sure, I understand, and I've given that some thought because I did get phone calls as well, Mr. McMorris, and my thoughts were this, that whoever serves temporary on the board has to run again in March. So this is just, and Mr. Bubba's, this is his district, so I'm sure Mr. Talbot would love to put somebody else, have it picked, because I'd love to have a pick, and I'm sure everybody else on here would love to pick someone, but I think this decision should be up to Mr. Harris.
I got singled out this deal. Damn, John. How I got picked on in this deal?
So
I ain't said a word on it.
I'm with you. I understand. So I'm just saying that it's Mr. Harris's district, Mr. McMorris, and it's only going to be for and whoever serves. The whole parish can run District 5 in April when the election. When did you say March. In March. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, if we just open it up for everybody, then we may never decide on who we want to put on that position. So,
and this is just my opinion for what it's worth. Mr. Bubba was duly elected, and he's resigning, and Ms. Sandifer is his recommendation, and it's going to be for 3 months, 4 months, and then you have the process in place for people to decide. Mr. Bubba, is Ms. Erin your choice to fill in temporarily till we can have an election?
Yes.
Well, there you go. That's good enough for me.
That's what I needed to hear. Thanks, Mr. Bubba. All right, call for the vote.
Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. Wascom?
yes.
Mr. Garlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
No.
Mr. McMorris?
I'm going to say yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Congratulations, Ms. Sandifer. You have been tagged. So, Chris, I know we talked about doing the swearing in, but you want to wait till we get the letter?
I think that's probably the safest thing to do.
Okay.
We could do it tonight, but it'd be probably better to do it at the next meeting.
So we'll wait.
She'll actually sign the
If
official.
you'd like to come up and speak, you sure
You can sign the official oath, and we'll have it on hand.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I just have a few things to say. I'll keep it brief. Thank you to the Parish Council and to Parish President Leighton Ricks for entrusting me with the opportunity to serve our great parish. I feel honored to be recommended and appointed to this capacity. I humbly accept this interim appointment and look forward to what is to come. To Mr. Bubba Harris, thank you for believing in me. You have my word that I will do my very best, do what you have asked me to do, and that is to serve our people. These people of Livingston Parish District 5 and the people of this great parish. As you move into your next chapter, I step into this with a blessing to you. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you, and give you his peace. I speak this to you and to the people of Livingston Parish. I am indebted and grateful to you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say one last thing, a special thank you to Mr. Bubba Harris's daughter, who has worked tirelessly getting Mr. Bubba here, making sure things are done. I know it's been a burden on you, Angie, but thank you so much for your hard work.
Yeah. I want to say thank you for everybody, also for all of y'all and everyone that helped with conference retreat.
Mr. Taylor, come up to the podium and speak.
I wanted to take this minute, Mr. Bubba, thank you so much for everything that you've done for me and my family. Mr. Bubba is my councilman, along with, obviously, Gerald McMorris from where I'm from, and all of y'all of our total council. But, Mr. Bubba, I appreciate everything you did. In the last election, he rode back and forth in the truck and went all over the place to ask people to support me. And that meant a lot to me, and the support that you gave to my family, my dad, and for being a friend for years and years and years. And I'm looking forward to doing a little fishing with you now. So thank you very much for everything you did, Mr. Bubba.
Make sure he cleans them, though.
Yeah, tell him he's got to clean them. All right. So hang around. This will be your last one. So just hang around here with us.
Just hang around.
Just hang around. All right. Number 11, adopt the minutes of the October 27, 2022 regular meeting of Livingston Parish Council.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Garlinghouse, second by Mr. McMorris. Any comments on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Parish President's report. Do I need to come back to that? Is he right there?
I mean, we don't have anything. I think the budget's on there.
Yep. You going to do that?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Gentlemen, I have looked at this budget for so long that I'm tired of looking at it. It's the best it's going to get. It's the best that it's probably ever looked. We have grown into our expenses, is probably the best way to put it. Our sales tax are finally sufficient to support all of the expenditures that we have. So hopefully we continue this positive trend of sufficient planning for all of our future endeavors that we hope to accomplish, like animal control and stuff as that. So do y'all have any questions on the budget that you would like to ask of me? I only got the most up-to-date version tonight, and that is, did I tell y'all last time that Blue Cross did come back and give us, instead of the 9.9% increase, they settled on 7.9% increase. We were able to negotiate 2% down, so that's only about a net cost of about $96,000 for the year for us, which is, probably as best we can hope in this economy.
The only comment I've got is you addressed. As long as, now that we are, as you said, grown into our revenue's grown into our budget, if you as the finance director would start striving toward how we can fund animal control within the current expenditures without going, back to the public. I mean, I know there was an amendment that we were hoping would pass that would allow us to bring our, rolled back, state mandated ad valorem.
Correct.
Back up to where it belongs. I don't know if that's a consideration we want to look at, asking the people if we could actually have what we're what the Constitution says we should get, you know,
Yes.
for the operation of government. But hopefully, you know, we're able to find within this current revenue stream, as we continue to grow, money to move forward with, you know, a full-blown animal control situation.
And honestly, I don't know that it would ever be without a funding source, it will never be a full-blown.
I understand.
But there are ways to meet in the middle, is even if you just write the ordinance to give the discretion to the director of the animal shelter to pick up as funding allows. You know, if we get to a point where we pick up so many injured or arrest cases or abuse cases or whatnot, and then we just don't have the funding to continue, at some point in the year we may have to say, okay, we've spent all the funds we can spend for this year that are budgeted for us.
That's a great
so that we
idea.
don't get into a scenario where we're overextending ourselves again.
And I think the concern is that my understanding, and if I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong, but that ordinance was written to be in compliance with state law with respect to how animal control is supposed to be operated. So I don't think it's one of those, you know, cafeteria style deals that we can kick something out if we don't want. I think is the problem. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
No, and I'm not saying cafeteria style, and I'm just saying that we were currently doing that for dogs, you know, injured, arrest, abuse cases. We could open that up to cats also if you also wished and voted on that. But you would need to limit it and make sure that we thought it through financially and protected ourselves from overextending ourselves budget-wise to, it's got to be at the discretion, you know, when the director says, okay, for this quarter or for this year, we've spent all we can afford to spend, then we're going to have to make some decisions to stop picking up, potentially for both dogs and cats. So, I mean, we just need to think through and roundtable it on how we can meet in the middle, so to speak. I don't think we're never going to have full-scale operation funding without funding from the public, but we could do something, you know.
That's a great idea. And like they say, you got to crawl before you walk, and that also gets you to put people in place, and you can see what mistakes you're making and what you're not making, what you can improve on. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Jennifer.
Anything else?
Make a recommendation that, well, we just introduced, we don't need a motion, we don't need
I think, Ms. Sandy, do you need to read this ordinance?
Yep.
This will be proposed ordinance 22-55. It's an ordinance amending the 2022 budget and adopting the 2023 budget of the Livingston Parish President Council relative to the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, and capital improvement funds. The public hearing will be on Thursday, December the 8th at 6 p.m.
All right. We good?
Good.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. All right. 13, Grants Department.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Number 13 is simply asking for a resolution allowing the parish president to execute a contract with Andean Construction for the sewer resiliency program we've done in Springfield. Just so you know, there's a couple lift stations that flood constantly. This is going to elevate them a little bit and waterproof them so we can continue with sewer service in Springfield during floods.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Delat. Second by Mr. Mack. Is there any comments from the audience on this? Any councilman comment? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And I'd like to say, Mr. Bubba,
thank you. All right. 14. Randy, did we pull this one?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. 14's been pulled.
It's going to be on next agenda.
Yeah, we're going
to be on the next agenda.
All right, 15 is a public hearing, so we're now entering a public hearing. This is adoption of LP ordinance number 22-53, amend section 126-3, commercial development notification by changing the wording subdivision to commercial development and correction of numbering from 125-26 to 125-106. For section 125-1 definitions / subdivisions. So this is a recommendation from planning and zoning.
Motion.
Wait. Is there, you got something you need to add? Okay.
I got to read the title.
Okay, yep, read it by title.
This is proposed ordinance 22-53, an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 subdivision Did you just read this?
He did.
Okay, well then it don't need to be read.
That's fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was trying to help you out a little bit.
He did.
Appreciate
All
it.
right,
I just
so
figured
is there
you
any
wanted to say it again,
comments
too.
from the public on this? All right, the public hearing is now closed. Any comments on the council?
It's just a housekeeping deal. Yeah. When we did all that work on 125, 126, 127, there was some things.
Someone made a motion?
Some redundancies.
Somebody made a motion? I will.
Motion by Mr. Delat.
Second.
Second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Other public hearing, so we're now entering a public hearing. This is adoption of LP ordinance number 22-54, adoption of Council District 1 zoning map. So this is mine. I want to read it by title first.
This is proposed ordinance 22-54, an ordinance to certify the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of Council District 1 in the parish of Livingston entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District 1, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances.
So I will say that I've had 2 public meetings. I've taken numerous phone calls, and my feedback is, why is this not done yet? So my people are definitely ready for it, so I need somebody to make a motion for it. Well, we need to close the public hearing. So is there any comments from the public? All right.
I got a question.
Public hearing is closed.
It says upon adoption. Doesn't it have to be upon signature of the parish president, or is it?
Well, I mean, I don't think it.
I'm just asking.
Does this all the time of the state of Louisiana.
That's what it means.
Okay, that's fine. I just asked.
I'll make that motion for you, Mr. Chairman.
I really hadn't seen us do one before.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. Mack. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. 17, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of Section 125 to subdivide in a named subdivision known as Audubon Village for Hazel Wilkes to subdivide Lot 1 of Square F into Lots 1-A and 1-B, located off of Crossover Road in Meadowlark Lane in Council District 3. Does anybody know anything about this for Scooter?
No. Can we just pass on this one for a second? Can we just skip it? I'm gonna make a phone call.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back to 17 so we can try to get.
17 and 18 got to pass, huh?
Huh?
How about 18, same thing?
We're fixing to do 18.
No, the
He can
same
ask
guy.
him about 18 too.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we can do that. That's just a named road. Yeah.
That's a nominated road.
Yeah, so 18 is just adopt a resolution, and this was actually, we missed it last time, so I've talked to
I
him
made
about
that motion.
Yeah, adopt a resolution to name an unnamed road, Ballfield Road, located off of Myers Road in Council District 3. Any comments from the public on this? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Delat, second from Mr. Girlinghouse.
Village lot.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Well,
I can hear him from
We can hear him all the way over here.
on the phone.
I'd like to make a motion. You want to go to 17?
All right, so we'll go back to 17, which was a resolution to authorize a waiver.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbert, second by Mr. Delat. Any comments from the public? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, 17. 19, adopt a resolution to name an unnamed road, Olivia Rose Drive, located off of Walker South Road, Council District 5. He can't make it. Mr. Delat made the motion, Mr. McMorris seconded it. Any comments from the public? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, 20, board reappointment, Fire Protection District Number 11, Mr. Mack.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jeff. We just need to reappoint Mr. Christopher Paul Cooper. and Mr. Jason Populus. They're doing an outstanding job on the fire board, District 11 up there in North Albany. And so I'd like to make the motion, we reappoint both of them. I think we can do that in one motion. It's a 2-year appointment, right?
I'll
Sandy?
All right.
Yeah, okay.
So motion by Mr. Mack, seconded by Mr. Delat. Is there any comments from the audience on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, at this time, I'd like to go to the addendum. Addendum, this is to adopt a resolution to add roads for consideration to the capital outlay priority road list. Adele Lane, east of Bridge to Gaylord, Hartman from Old Walker South to the city limits at least, and Old Walker South from Hartman to Vera McGowan. So Mr. Girlinghouse has asked for all of these to be on there. So before we make a motion, is there any more to add?
I have one. I got a text today from Dillon Springs City Councilman, Mr. Poole, asked me to put Weeping Willow on that list as well.
All right, Weeping Willow.
Weeping Willow.
All right. You make a motion? Motion to accept by Mr. Girlinghouse. Second by Mr. Wascom. Any comments from the audience? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, 21, committee reports. Finance Committee, we opted to just let Jennifer do the budget here instead of her having to present it twice, so that was pretty much our committee meeting.
While we're underneath finance, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and pay the council extra check this month. Can I get a second?
Nope.
No. I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
All right, Ordinance Committee, recommendations.
Well, Shane actually ran the meeting today, but...
And you got
it. But we can probably just go over what's being proposed tonight. Huh?
Yeah, so the only thing we really had tonight was
what Gary wanted to do.
Yeah, we just had discussions on the other stuff.
We had a positive recommendation.
Yeah, we do have one
on the ordinance with respect that Mr. Sam asked and Mr. Moody.
Yeah, let me pull that note.
For us.
Yeah,
that's 21B in your package.
Yeah.
So I have a letter here.
So this is I'm gonna pull that for you guys. Here we go.
And hit stuff.
So you may cover this real quick, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. So in the ordinance meeting, like Gary said, we had a recommendation by the ordinance committee to introduce a modification to section 100-5. Like I say, this will be an introduction. This is a penalty for violations of this chapter. What we're looking at doing is adding the verbiage, the Director of Public Works is authorized to engage ununiformed code enforcement officers to issue court summons to offenders to appear in district court. Said officers may or may not be deputized by the sheriff. Code enforcement officers shall also deliver stop work orders and cease and desist letters, and they have the authority to enter private property to enforce the land development code. From what I understood, and maybe there's others that can do a better job explaining, but basically, you know, the ordinance is on the books. If somebody's in a violation of the ordinance, these code enforcement officers are going to have the ability to go out there, assess the situation, and you know, issue a stop work order, cease and desist order, until it can be further investigated and basically proven, you know, whether or not you're allowed to go forward in court. They're going to be able to issue a summons to stop. So that's what's being introduced, and we've got 2 or 3 weeks to do some research and talk about it and figure out if this is what's best for Livingston Parish, and we'll be voting, I guess, to adopt or not adopt in 2 or 3 weeks at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
All right. We good on that one? All right, Gary, you want to do your introduction on the one that?
Yeah, so we've got there's a couple here. Y'all got copies of them. One is a picture of an amendment. One is the one that was sent to us by Ms. Morgan. One is section 125-52, procedure for subdivision without improvements, and then 125-68, procedure for subdivision with improvements. They're basically the same. it says on 5, it says changes or alterations. Any alteration made by the ODS after approval of the preliminary plat shall be submitted to the planning director and reviewed by Planning and Zoning Commission. The wording that was added to it was with the exception of a decrease in the approved number of lots. And I guess the reason this came about is Ms. Morgan sat in all our discussion on 125 and the changes, yet there was a development that required a 20% reduction in discharge that had already been submitted and approved. And in increasing the pond, they were going to give up 6 lots. And Mr. Moody's interpretation, strict interpretation of the ordinance was, if there was a change, then it had to be resubmitted. But what we had talked about was, that somebody that had been submitted that was improving drainage improvements would not have to do that. So Ms. Morgan said, with the exception of a decrease in the approved number of lots. So anything else that required a change in a submittal would require it to come forward, to come back. But if there was a reduction in the number of lots because of the 20% reduction, and that it wouldn't have to come back. Now, this is not going to apply to subdivisions that were approved under a 20% reduction already, but there are some older subdivisions that have preliminary plats done, and they might have done 1 and 2 already, and they're doing 3 and 4, and because of the 20% reduction, they need a bigger pond, and because of that pond, they might lose a lot or 2. They're trying to save those developers from having to come back and resubmit and go through the whole process again. Because let's face it, the new ordinance has some tremendously different changes in it that will probably cause the economics of some of these developments not to be workable anymore. And they were approved under an old set. So the question, and what Ms. Morgan had asked us to do is that if there's a reduction in lots, with respect to drainage improvements, and it doesn't say that in that, but I think we need to note that if there's a reduction in lots based on meeting the new 20% reduction because the pond had to get bigger, then it doesn't have to need to come back for resubmit. That's what the introduction is.
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Gary, we're just talking about subdivisions that's already been approved underneath the old, right?
Yeah, and look, I don't mind telling you, it's about a specific subdivision that was being done in stages. They were going to do a commercial stage and then do the residential stage later, and they did the commercial stage, and when it was time to apply that drainage impact study, Ms. Morgan said you got to meet the 20% reduction, which is what the intent of the ordinance was. But in doing that, they caused them to lose 6 lots to make the pond bigger. And so, because there is going to be improved drainage in the area, she felt that they met the burden of what we were trying to do. However, Mr. Moody's strict interpretation of the ordinance was that even though that might have been our intent, that's not what we said. And so, that's why Ms. Morgan came up with this wording. And so, everybody's got the ordinance in front of them. I think the only thing we need to do, and I think we can amend it now, is that
I don't think we can. It's got to be in ordinance form.
Okay, so we can submit it. We can submit it as it is now, but let's be honest with you. When it comes around December, I want to I'm going to try to make an amendment at the time of adoption that it's relative to the increase of pond size with the, that's what it's about. We're reducing lots to increase the pond.
I mean, I'm with you on this. I don't know if we can introduce.
Well, you're right, because we don't have the written form right now, so we'll have to amend it and then adopt it as amended later. But I would like to, can we introduce these, Sandy? Can 125-52 and 125-68, which are separate ordinances, or separate, can we amend them together in one introduction? So I'd like to introduce this document in front of us tonight to be heard in December.
They don't take a vote for introduction, does it?
We just need to make sure that this actually be done, because it says a proposed ordinance shall be introduced in writing at a meeting of the council in the form required for adoption.
That's technically.
Sounds like a lawyer question.
Well, that's technically not the, I haven't seen the finished product. Is it in full ordinance form, or that's just the guts of the ordinance?
That's the guts of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's fine. We'll just introduce it in December.
I mean, we're good with it.
Yes. Thanks.
We just need,
Okay.
yeah, my home rule code.
Okay, and then the other one is section 117-50, amendments or changes to development regulation or district map. And so here's the deal. And there was some discussion at the ordinance committee last time, and here, so basically, you know, councilmen are setting forth their maps, their district maps. Some of them might have a parcel of land zoned a particular way that doesn't match what's been approved. You know, I might say a corner is rural on my map. However, there's been a convenience store approved for that particular corner, so it's non-conforming. However, because the thing has been approved already, a preliminary plat's approved, we can't stop it because of zoning. So, am I correct in saying that? So this is just clarification. It says no amendment, supplement, or change of the district map or zoning of a lot or parcel shall prohibit or restrict any proposed use, design, or layout shown on any preliminary plat or final plat that has been previously approved to applicable governing authority for the Livingston Parish. This includes but is not limited to any allowed uses, accessory uses, recreational use, setback, front yard, rear yard, side yards, lot area, lot width, building height, lot length, density, entrances, and right-of-ways. So basically it says if your development has been approved or preliminary plat has been approved, it doesn't matter what the zoning map says that hadn't been introduced yet. You know what I'm saying? Now, once the map is introduced, then you've got to comply with that. But if my development got approved prior to the zoning map being approved, then the approval of the preliminary usurps whatever the zoning map says.
Yeah, I think
existing use.
I know what you're saying. I think
I understand.
Where are you reading this from? You just
That's the one I just get. She handed that out.
okay. I know this. I just think I would like the language a little clearer in here, where it says essentially say it doesn't include anything prior to the adoption of your zoning map.
I think that's what it says. Any amendment, supplement, or change to district map. So there were no district maps. So if it's been approved and you approve a district map, or you try to change a district map after something's been approved, then the approval usurps the district. Now, Mr. Moody can look at.
Yeah, I think we can clean up that language a little. So
I know what you're trying to do. I just want the language to be clean.
Let the attorney do the legalese on it and figure out what we need to say. But that's ultimately what it's about. Is that we don't want to come to a battle later on. You know, if I've got a 200-acre development that's been approved, then that 200 acres ought to be zoned as to meet with.
Well, I mean, let's face it. You know, I probably got a couple of those right now. So I'm agreeing that we should do this. You know, as a safety measure, I probably have a couple, but you know, at the same time, I would just be like, hey, you know, okay.
I understand, but I just think
I'm not trying to retroactively punish somebody.
Right, and I just think there's some concern.
I'm in agreement with it. I just want the language to be a little cleaner in there for that, Mr. Moody.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Okay.
All right, and we're going and hopefully we'll have those in ordinance form to introduce on December.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, I can't keep up with the dates.
I know. I'm all messed up.
So I mean, hopefully we'll have those in form to introduce December 8th.
All right. Just got a quick question. So that'd be introduced on December 8th, so then adopted 2 weeks after that?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, I don't know if we have a full 2 weeks between the 8th and the next meeting. It might only be 13 days, so it might be that it's got to roll over into the new year. Am I correct?
No, it's on the 22nd, so it's.
Oh, it is? Okay, so we got a full.
Yeah, I think that's why we did it that way.
Okay, all right, so we got a full 2 weeks, yeah. No, it's a Wednesday. Yes, I thought it's going to be 13 days, so we're going to have to roll it. We either got to change the 8th. Well, we can't change 8th. We've already done. We just have to roll it in the new year. But I mean, ultimately, everybody's in agreement what we're going to do, and so I think we can all move forward with that. And I think the Planning Commission, that one particular deal maybe Mr. Moody, knowing what the intent of the council is, will allow Ms. Morgan to let them move forward. I don't know.
At worst case, we could give them a waiver at the next meeting.
Well, we can, and that might be what we need to do.
Yeah.
We just have to
They could
figure out,
go
we have
ahead
to figure out how binding,
Could-
how
yeah.
tough it is, and if we do, then we'll introduce.
We'll just
waivers.
give them a waiver. All right. All right, district attorney report?
No report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have my Robert Rules order in front of me, but I want to do a reconsider. The question I'm asking on my reconsider is, I don't know if I need a second or not, and I want to explain to you. I would like, in the interest of Aaron's vote that we took, I would like to change my vote and make it unanimous, so a sitting councilman comes here and she's unanimous.
I think you can only do that if you're on the winning vote.
Oh, you're right. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. You're exactly
I
right.
think you lost that one too.
You're exactly
But I understand what you're saying.
You're exactly right.
All right.
Heard you.
All right.
Wait a second, I've heard some councilmen say after the vote was over, can I change my vote? I mean, so can he,
Well, I mean, look.
can he change his vote or not?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'm cool. I mean,
I don't have a problem with it if you.
I'm okay with it, Randy.
I'm all in favor of letting listen to the last.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. So,
too.
you want to put it on the record? Yeah.
But he's correct. I mean, if I'm allowed to, I want to do that. If
I
I'm
think
allowed.
Robert's rules says, yeah, but I mean.
He's correct. He's correct.
Yeah. I mean,
So you make a motion to allow him to change his vote?
I'll make a motion to allow him to change his
I got a
vote.
second for that. Second by Mr. Talbot. All in favor? Mr. Delatt, you want to change your vote?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's done. So I'm going to make it unanimous.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Wait. Before we do, Mr. Harris would like to tell me to thank everybody that helped him with trunk or treat this year, especially Mr. Mark Harrell. I know he left the building, but Mr. Mark did a lot of grunt work for Mr. Bubba this year, and he wanted to make sure he got that attaboy out to him.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just letting everybody know 5 o'clock is going to keep it up. We're just going to pick up like we always have. We're going to keep doing
yep,
that.
and we're here to help to make sure this keeps going for Mr. Harris.
I wanted to tell Mr. Harris that every year since 2016 I've been there, but I got a little 9-month-old grandson and we had to do something a little different this year. So I apologize.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing.
Mr. Talbot, that's no excuse.
I don't make the rules with respect to him. I could have gone out there and handed out candy, but I'd have missed his deal. So I did what I got to do.
I think it's a great idea that would become known as the
Bubba Harris. Well,
trunk or
I've
treat.
already, we're gonna make that happen. That will be the Bubba Harris trunk or treat. We're gonna make sure that happens.
I appreciate it.
That's a good idea.
Yep. Now, in honor of Mr. Bubba's favorite words to say in a meeting, can I have the motion?
Let Mr.
Say it. He can't, he's not on the council.
He can't say it.
I motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.